So between this and Nope, I'm starting to think that Jordan Peele has a thing for simian creatures that go apeshit on human beings. Hi, my name is Ryan Lane, and welcome to my review channel. So for today's movie, I will be reviewing Monkey Man, directed by Dev Patel and starring also Dev Patel, Sharlto, Copley, Pitobash, Vipin, Sharma, Sikandar, Kher, and Sobhita, Dhulipala. So, the story follows Bobby, played by Dev Patel, an underground fighter who dons a monkey mask to fight his opponents in underground boxing matches. Well, maybe not exactly boxing, more like underground street fights that just so happen to take place in a ring. There are no boxing gloves, no judges, it's just, you go down, you're out, alright, he wins. Anyway, but Bobby, he's got his goal set on more than just putting on good fights for Tiger, played by Sharlto Copley. He wants vengeance. More specifically, vengeance against the people who raised his childhood village. And to do that, he'll have to infiltrate the crime ring led by Queen Kapoor, played by Ashwini, Kaleskar. And Bobby will need help from Hustler Alpha, played by Vipin Sharma, and prostitute Sita, played by Sobhita Dhulipala. So, though it's certainly visually inspired by, but not indebted to, the John Wick movies, the writing actually hews a lot closer to comic book writing than it does to, John Wick. Our main protagonist, he comes equipped with a tragic backstory, a training sequence, and a sidekick, just for good measure. Fortunately, the film actually plays around with the structure, using everything from non-linear storytelling to rearranging the structure. Like, in a typical comic book movie, there will be the tragic backstory, then the working your way up through a training sequence, and then, going after the main big baddie after going through a few small baddies. The film rearranges that structure, and it makes for a much more engaging and enjoyable film. But it's not without its trade-offs. Right after a big, huge action sequence that involves a chase through a seedy, underground club and a open-air brothel, our main protagonist, Bobby, he winds up really injured after, taking a bunch of bullets and stab wounds to his gut. And he kind of has to train himself back up to full strength. And the film kind of loses some momentum because this happens about, I'd say, mid-ish way through the second act. And while the training sequence is fun, the filmmakers figured out how to bring some new life into this with some cosmically trippy imagery and some well-edited action. But it kind of, again, like I said, it slows down the momentum a bit too much, and it doesn't really recover until the third act. But again, thankfully the writing and pacing recovers in the third act. The film also plays it frustratingly vague with its villain's ideology. Beyond allusions to nationalism and persecution, the film doesn't do much to fill in the blanks. I didn't need, the villain's full-blown party platform and a whole-blown manifesto, but I could use a little bit more detail. The film had all its time for exposition dumps via television broadcast, but it couldn't squeeze in just a little bit more detail about its villain. I don't know. Again, it's not terrible, but I could use more detail. So performance-wise, everyone does a solid job. Dev Patel, he brings a steely gaze to accompany his steely fists. Seriously, he became, again, he's not quite MCU superhero beefcake, but he put on quite the six-pack and the muscles. Again, it's certainly not like mine. He also brings that. Vipin Sharma, he brings equal parts vulnerability and charisma to his role as Alpha, which when you end up seeing the movie, you'll see that he is very ironically named. And Sobhita Dhulipala, she makes the role as Sita, a wise but worn down prostitute. Characters like Queen and Baba, perhaps they don't get quite enough material to work with, but their actors more than make up the difference thanks to bringing a lived-in approach to dialogue. You can tell these characters have been doing what they've been doing for way too long, at the expense of many an innocent people. So the action scenes are stunning to look at. Everything from the color scheme to the set design just pops. Compared to films like Extraction or Plane, this film actually manages to make good on the promise of the digital fake wonder. Like, unlike the other films, the choreography is much more interesting and the camera work is much more dynamic, and it does a much better job of hiding the cuts. Like in films like Plane or Extraction, it's like cut, cut, cut. Whereas with this one, it's like you gotta be paying really close attention to where the cuts are, and if you do that, you'll miss out on all the cool action. The action scenes, they also do a good job. They never outlast their welcome. Again, in films like Plane or Extraction, I've always felt like the action scenes went on too long, like especially with Extraction, with that way too long 17-minute wander. With this film, it's like it just knows just how long each shot and how long each sequence should be. Plus, the cinematography also makes great use of frame within framing and reflections. Like there's one cool face-off between Bobby and Rana Singh, the chief of police, and the scene uses reflections, to show just how intense they are. It's like really good stuff, especially for a directorial debut. So, though the writing doesn't always keep pace with the action scenes, Monkey Man nevertheless proves to be an impressive directorial debut for Dev Patel. Anyway, with that in mind, I will be giving Monkey Man 4 out of 5 stars. Anyway, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. If you like this review and would like to see more like it, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. And for today's comment section prompt of the day, what is your favorite Dev Patel performance and why?